So, back from another VGC guide, and this time we are looking at Landorus Therian. It finally has a single target ground type attack. It's only Stomping Tantrum, but we will take it. In previous generations, if you wanted a single target attack from Landorus Therian, it had to be Earth Power. And you might as well leave that to the Landorus Incarnate form. That gets the sheer force boost. This only has 105 special attack as well. But because you needed a single target ground type attack that didn't interact with things like grassy terrain and all that stuff as well, it was resorting to Choice Scarf Earth Power. Like back in Generation 7, that was a very common moveset on Landorus, but it doesn't have to do that anymore. Finally has Stomping Tantrum. Previous generation, you could get around it with going for max Quakes, but then once that was done, you had to Earthquake yourself if you didn't have a flying Pokemon. Like we saw the finals of the European International was lost because they had to Earthquake themselves. If they had Stomping Tantrum instead of Earthquake, they would have won. So finally having a single target ground type attack is very, very good for Landorus. So Earthquake and Stomping Tantrum probably should be run on all Landorus, in my opinion, because you want the greatness of Earthquake that we've seen in previous generations, but you also want the single target attacks. I reckon that Earthquake is more droppable than Stomping Tantrum now. We've seen that on Ting Lu's. Ting Lu's with the Assault Vest, they'd run Stomping Tantrum mostly over Earthquake. There were some, obviously, that did run Earthquake and no Stomping Tantrum, but most was Stomping Tantrum. The single targetness, without hitting yourself, is very valuable. So, having both, you get to choose whichever one you want. You can get away with just one, though. Terra Blast is also another big buff for Landorus. It's a little bit awkward because you do have to sacrifice your ground typing and make yourself weak to electric rather than immune to electric to be able to go on the offensive with flying, but it's a reasonable trade-off, for sure. Because you get the great coverage of ground and flying. You don't have to run fly anymore just to get a max airstream or anything. Flying Terra Blast is perfectly fine. We've seen that on Dragonites. It's going to be a good move on Landorus for sure. It's just a little bit disappointing that it does work very badly defensively with Landorus, but offensively it is great. So basically, the Assault Vest has been another standout item on most Landorus, most generation. So I see no reason why that would stop here. Because if you had the Assault Vest, you've got space for all 4 attacks, you have space for both Earthquake and Stomping Tantrum. Then you have most likely Terra Blast, you don't necessarily need it, but it's a very good idea. And then it's just pick your favourite 4th move, basically. Rock Tomb is just being able to get rock coverage, nice and accurate rock coverage, while also getting some speed control as well. So it's basically just pick your favourites. Like, here's some other moves. This is not a recommended moveset. These are just other 4th moves to have on Assault Vest Landorus. So Stone Edge is stronger than Rock Tomb, but very shaky accuracy. I'm not a fan of 80%, so I will absolutely go Rock Tomb over Stone Edge if I can. Rock Slide. It can flinch things, and it's a spread move as well. We've seen how Rock Slide works. I'm sure I don't need to explain further. U-Turn is very good at pivoting out to your Intimidate, so that you can just get another Intimidate cycle. That's been on most Landorus in generations as well, so I see no reason why that wouldn't be good. I think it's less splashable on Landorus because you probably want Terra Blast, you probably want Rock Coverage, but U-Turn over Rock Tomb, perfectly fine as well. And then Bulldoze would just be some extra speed control. That would mainly be for a Choice Scarf set, but Bulldoze on an Assault Vest would work perfectly fine as well. So the speed is able to outspeed a Scarf Chi-Yu in Tailwind, and then the attack just hits the 11N where you get 2 for 1. And just max HP, and then there was barely left over, so I just split the defenses. So you get an even number for the Assault Vest, multiplying, because 1.5 times an even number is slightly better than an odd number. Terra Water is also a good option. If you don't have Terra Flying Terra Blast, then Water is the best defensive typing for Landorus, because it resists both Water and Ice that would have hit Landorus super effectively. And then if they want to be going for Electric type attacks into Landorus, it's a bit awkward because you might just stay a Ground type. So very good defensive typing there. So you can obviously go offensive with Landorus as well. It's got, what, the highest attack? I guess Palafin and Slacking technically, but tied with Baxcalibur, and Haxorus doesn't count. So basically the highest attack in the game, discounting Palafin. Palafin doesn't count because it joins the field as a 0 form. But yeah, you can make the most of it with the Life Orb, do as much damage as you can. You can get away with just Earthquake, Terra Blast, and Stomping Tantrum. That's fine coverage, if you are definitely going to Terra your Landorus. If you don't, and you face a Flying or a Levitator, and you've used your Terra, then you're kind of screwed. So just keep that in mind. Having rock coverage over one of the ground moves is perfectly fine as well. If you're going Life Orb, just go max speed, max attack. You don't need to invest in bulk if you've got the Life Orb, it'll be sacrificing your HP anyway. Choice Scarf has very classically been very good on Landorus as well, mainly because you just click Rock Slide, and then you flinch things, and that's basically what it was used for. You'd really use Choice Scarf Rock Slide more than Earthquake, but yeah, Landorus is still going to be good with the Choice Scarf. It's outspeeding most things. It outspeeds Dragapult just with Adamant, so you should go Adamant. Don't go Jolly. It's not worth it. You're not outspeeding anything with Jolly, so just go Adamant. So, yeah, it's still going to be very reasonable on Landorus. I guess I've just had thought that if you do go Jolly, you do outspeed an Adamant, Scarf, Urshifu. So, maybe worth it. In previous generations, I've been very against Jolly, Scarf, Landorus, but yeah, there was just a justification that I thought of immediately. So, maybe worth, but Assault Vest is likely to be the most common moveset, I reckon. You can very easily just slap a Choice Band over Choice Scarf as well to maximize your damage output, get the most amount of damage you can do, as you'll be hitting very hard, especially with the Terra Blast. We've seen like Choice Bands, Terra Blast, Terra Flying, Dragonites. This is slightly stronger, so very reasonable as well. Basically, Landorus is still going to be as great as ever, and that's no surprise at all.